The Maple Leafs split a pair of weekend games against the Oilers and Hurricanes, and which goalie is the team most confident in? Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan. And guys, what an interesting set of back-to-back games for the Maple Leafs on Saturday and Sunday. They look like world beaters for 40 minutes against the Oilers and hang on to win. Then on Sunday, they're in a tough spot in a back-to-back and fall just short in Carolina. Terry, what stood out to you the most in these two games this weekend against some pretty good competition?
Well, what stood out to me the most was the way that they shut down Connor McDavid on Saturday night. And by they, you're looking at John Tavares, Nylander, Bobby McMahon, and that defense pair, McCabe and Riley. McDavid didn't have a shot attempt through 40 minutes. So, doing good things against him and, Draisaitl again, not overly effective. I know McDavid wound up with 3 assists, but 2 came on power plays in that third period. And as we know, they weren't a difference in a 6-3 Leafs win. So I just thought that the way that they played, and not just that shutdown, but the physical aspect of it is what they have to do in the playoffs. And as Sheldon Keefe had said after, Joel Edmondson with an early hit on Connor McDavid, Jake McCabe with an early hit on Evander Kane, they really set the tone for that. And I thought it was a great showing, and full marks for that victory. And the third period's the third period. I don't think that there should be any worry about that. And as far as the game in Carolina goes, you know what? They're playing one of the best teams in the league, one of the best defensive teams in the league. And, other than a few early mistakes that led to those couple of goals, I thought the Leafs played a good hockey game for the most part. And, you don't ever want to use fatigue as an excuse, but it certainly be a factor. They're probably not in their hotel till 3 a.m. There's an hour earlier, 6 o'clock start. And I know that Sheldon Keefe was pretty subdued in his post-game media availability. But, given the circumstances, I thought the Leafs gave Carolina a good fight last night.
Well, I'd have to say I like the nasty boy attitude of the defense. Picking up on one of Terry's points there, it's you really have not seen that from Toronto. The way McCabe carries himself, the way Edmonton hits, the way Simon Benoit has been doing it all year long. That's an element the Leafs have not had, and I think if you look at the league stats in hits, the Leafs are fourth. Now the two teams ahead of them, Boston and Florida, one of them are going to meet in playoffs probably. But I think they've held their own both nights. Again, as Terry said, coming off a back-to-back is pretty tough. You saw a lot of adversity there. Certainly that was a terrible start, and Carolina could have blown them out early. But McCabe, who was sort of accidentally party to a couple of goals against, came back, had a good game, and was, again, carried himself quite well. You saw some depth come in when they made their lineup changes. So all in all, I think a good showing. Obviously, beating Edmonton can't be denied, and wrapping up McDavid again. It's interesting that the Leafs either make things interesting by struggling with big leads at the end, or coming back from a game a lot of people thought they wouldn't be in Carolina as that went on. So both of those good signs, and with a day off of rest and some home games this week, they should be able to take advantage of those games.
Yeah, the one thing I'd add to the game last night is I think Nick Robertson's probably lucky he scored that Leafs goal because he had a terrible game defensively, and that high sticking penalty is one of the dumber ones we've seen this year. And it's things like that came out at the end of a longer shift, but the defensive player is the type of thing that's going to keep him out of the lineup, I would think, if everyone's healthy for game one of the playoffs. Because we haven't seen a huge improvement there, and he said himself after it's been up and down, but a little bit of redemption for him scoring that goal, but otherwise, I didn't think it was a great showing for the kid.
Meanwhile, Ilya Samsonov was forced to leave Saturday's game with an injury, but doesn't look like he's going to be out for too long, according to head coach Sheldon Keefe. We then saw Joseph Wall have one of his best performances of the season, Lance, against the Hurricanes. As you look at these two netminders right now, health is, of course, a major factor for both, but which of the two would you start in a game one of the playoffs if it were to start today?
Well, I'll shorten it a little bit. I would be interesting to see if Martin Jones shows up at some point this week, given the ambiguity around what's happening with Samsonov's injury. You had Wall playing a lot on Sunday. This is why you've carried 3 goaltenders, and you got to keep Jones fresh. Long way to go to the end, and I think a lot of people have said, these things can turn out a dime. That's twice now we've seen Samsonov get injured on innocuous-looking plays, one at practice and one in the game. So it's very hard, I think, to say who's in there. Based on it now, I think Samsonov, the way he grabbed the reins and took advantage of Joseph Wall being out the same way that Wall did to a degree before he hurt his ankle. I think you go with Samsonov. He's He's earned it, and you either way, you have a heck of a plan B in those two, or Jones, or as people have begun to speculate, Matt Murray coming in free of charge for playoffs as a fourth option is interesting too.
Yeah, I think if it started today and everyone was healthy, it'd be Samsonov, just given the way he's played since really the end of January, middle of January. And yeah, the injuries are a little bit of concern, I guess, but these things are going to happen, and we'll have a better idea tomorrow. What Samsonov's status is going in for the rest of the week. But having said that, Wall isn't even a fallback plan. I think it's like a 1A and 1B thing here, and you talk about the confidence that the Leafs have in their goaltending. I think Sheldon Keefe would tell you that either one would be fine that way for game one. I just think based on recent performance, it would be Samsonov. And as for Jones and Murray, like Jones might get in to relieve Wall a bit if indeed Samsonov might be on the shelf for a little longer than anticipated. But unless there are injuries, I don't see it happening. And I'm one of these people that think this Matt Murray thing has taken on a life of its own, and I just don't see it happening. I absolutely, in no way, shape, or form, do I see him playing goal for the Leafs this year. And if I'm wrong, we'll happily revisit this video today. But this Matt Murray thing, I think, is just a little bit bizarre, all the speculation surrounding it.
Well, if Matt Murray's starting games for the Maple Leafs, something has gone terribly awry for this team's goaltending depth.
Yeah.
As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below or send us an email at torontomapleleafs@postmedia.com. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.